All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to begin with our state calendar, all-purpose calendar?
Good morning, Your Honor. The state is here and ready.
All right, Mr. Walker, good to see you.
Good.
All right, let's see now.
Good morning,
Mr.
Your Honor.
McLean, good morning.
Mr. Coleman and I are here.
Okay. You seem to have a rather empty courtroom, sir.
We do.
Did you clean up everything and left nothing for me to do?
We're pretty lonesome in here.
Okay, pretty lonesome. Okay. All right. Let's see. We're just waiting for the folks at the jail to get. Good morning, Miss McLeod. How are you? Oh, I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Morning,
Yeah,
Your Honor. I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
no problem. Okay, we're just waiting for the Fulton County staff to bring everyone in, and then we'll get started.
What about copies?
I've got Miss McLeod. Do you know what positions you have?
I believe one is position 19. And I saw where they needed a conflict, it said, for another position, Your Honor.
Add-on 3. Okay.
Yes.
It's getting either continued or concert.
That would be Devon Lightfoot. Would you have had?
That is correct, Your
Okay.
Honor. I haven't spoken to him yet, and I don't know if the state has an offer.
Okay. Mr. Walker, if you have an offer on Devon Lightfoot, position number 3, on the add-on calendar, could you please forward that to Ms. McLeod? If you need her email, she can put in the chat to you.
I have it. I'm sending it right now, Your Honor. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
morning, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Walker. This is Ms. Grace. Do you have an offer for any of the add-on calendar
So
defendants?
all of the add-ons were recessed from Tuesday, so I didn't send out new offers. So
Okay.
it's the same exact offers from Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
As I recall, I can tell Ms. McLeod, I believe, what the Livingston offer was. Do you want to call me?
Mr. Lightfoot? Yes.
I can still eat
I need
this.
to call you.
Yeah, call me on 612-2392.
2392. Okay, I'll call you.
All right, let me see. Possible.
Good morning. Hey, it's Mike. How are you doing, Maureen?
Oh, Mr. McLean, we can hear you in court from courtroom 2.
Let's mute ourselves here.
All right, thank you.
We have a keyboard to do that?
If you just click on that mouse with the lower left-hand corner,
Okay.
we're technologically
All right, we'll just be in a slight recess until the jail is ready, either 3 South or the jail or something to that effect, because I have nothing to start with right now. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, good morning. Are we ready to proceed with the folks at the jail? Not
Yes,
sure.
Your Honor, I apologize. I'm
No
working.
problem.
I'm just trying to do the best I can do.
I appreciate every ounce of your effort. Thank you, sir. And very good to see you. Good morning.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
but I didn't get,
All right. Are we going to be going to any other location? I see that 3 South is ready as well. So I'll just begin with my announcements. Are we waiting for any additional folks presently? No?
who is
No,
it?
Maxie Adams.
Okay.
Sit
Yeah,
down.
we can do that.
You can have a seat, sir. Thank you.
This is
All right.
position one, Your Honor, Mr. Maxie Adams.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is an announcement for everyone who is here at the courtroom 2 as well as 3 South. Good morning. My name is Judge Law, and this is the state court's all-purpose calendar. This is a calendar in which individuals have already been accused of a misdemeanor offense, 1 or more offenses. And today would be a opportunity to get a status of the cases. If you are a defendant charged with 1 or more misdemeanor crimes, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to discuss during the course of this virtual proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. This entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed. So please be very mindful of what you say and let your attorney speak for you. In that vein, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, or one of our attorneys from the Public Defender's Office or a conflict defense counsel will be appointed to represent you. Today, we're going to determine whether you want to, if the defendant would like to plead the case out, in other words, enter a plea of guilty or no contest in exchange for a recommended sentence offered by the prosecution. On the other hand, the defendant may choose to plead not guilty, in which case the case will be arraigned and scheduled for trial. So I'm going to be addressing the cases. If there are certain matters in which the defendant has to speak to their attorney, we will try to accommodate a breakout session. Mr. Adams, first of all, Mr. Coleman, is Mr. McLean ready now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your case. I'm so sorry. All right. We begin with Maxie Adams. This is case 23 CR 5393C. Mr. Adams is accused of criminal trespass from September 7, 2023. Mr. Adams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Coleman, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. Okay, and Mr. Adams, please raise your right hand.
I have haircuts. Put your right hand up. All the way up.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. You may place your hand down. Mr. Walker or Ms. Nimini, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
And what is the plea offer for Mr. Adams?
The plea offer is 12 months probation, serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended, and a stay away from 262 Arthur Langford Jr. Place, Atlanta.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Coleman, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We will stipulate.
All right. Mr. Adams, have you consumed any alcohol or medicine recently?
No.
And have you understood what's been going on so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer today?
No.
If you decide to accept this plea and enter a guilty plea to criminal trespass, you would have to give up your right to a trial. You will not have the opportunity to go back to court, to have the assistance of counsel, to challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought against you, to confront your accuser, to be able to have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up your rights?
But I gotta give up my rights when I have my rights. When I'm giving up my rights for.
Yeah, to give up your rights to get the offer to, for time served. Yes, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So do you understand why you're giving up your rights?
Yeah.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
I accept your guilty plea. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. The remainder of the time will be suspended. You're not to return to 262 Arthur Langford Place. If you return to that location, you will be arrested again. Thank you.
All right, you done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position number 10, Mr. Heatington.
All right, we are at 3 South right now. Position number 10 is represented by Mr. Coleman, and this will be a negotiated plea as well. This is Jeffrey Heathington. Mr. Heathington's case is 21 CR 5306C. Mr. Heathington was charged with false report of a crime from April 13th, 2021. Mr. Heathington, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. May I place you under oath for purposes of this plea? Mr. Heathington, may I place you under oath? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand out. Mr. Minnick, what's the recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. Time served, credit for time served 11 days, balance suspended, Your Honor.
Mr. Coleman, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, he does agree, Your Honor. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would stipulate to the fact and basis of the case.
Mr. Heathington, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's advice?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No.
Do you understand that you would be giving up your right to go back to court and have a trial? You will not get a chance to confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence brought against you, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of false report of a crime?
Yes.
I'm sorry, how do you plead to one count?
Guilty.
Accept your plea. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 11 days, credit for time served 11 days, balance suspended. Your sentence for this case is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Courtroom 2, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position. Is Brian Black, position number 3.
3, okay. This is State versus Brian Black. Mr. Black's case is 19 CR 9212Y, in which he has been accused of criminal trespass, obstruction of a law enforcement officer. This is going to be a negotiated plea. Mr. Black, if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Namini, what's the plea offer for both these charges?
For position 3, 12 months probation, serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended, and a stay away from, let me see, give me 1 second. 186 Auburn Avenue Northeast. And then for position, oh no, that's it.
That was it. Thank you. Mr. Coleman, do you say client accept these terms, and did you so stipulate to the 3 elements?
Yes, I don't believe there was any probation. I believe it was just 12 months, credit for time served, 15 days, balance suspended.
That would be correct.
He does accept. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would stipulate.
Mr. Black, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
And have you understood what's been going on so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And do you understand that in entering such a plea, you will lose the opportunity to go to court and have a trial? You will have to waive your right to challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, confront your accuser, present any defenses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass and 1 count of obstruction of an officer?
Yes.
Your sentences for both these charges are concurrent, and they are 12 months served 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended. You are not to return to the 186 Auburn Avenue in Northeast Atlanta. If you return there, you will be arrested again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Add-on, position number 2, Hines.
Thank you. This is State versus Supreme Hines, case number 23 CR 05348C. Ms. Hines has been accused of battery, family violence, and affray fighting. This is from a September 4th, 2023 incident. Ms. Hines, were you present when I advised you of your right to remain silent and your right to counsel?
Yes.
Okay. Your attorney is Mr. Coleman, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you on oath, please? Do you solemnly swear the information, the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Manning, what is the plea offer for Ms. Hines?
Yes, Your Honor, 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 16 days, balance probated. Well, it might be 18 days now. FVIP course, 60 hours of community service, no further contact with Devon Lightfoot, and a stay away from 1502 Shannon Chase Drive, Union City.
All right. I'm sorry, how many hours of community service was that?
60.
60?
Yes, yes, Your
All right.
Honor.
And there's no contact with the cross defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, if the cross defendant wants contact, we're okay with no violence.
I
What?
represent the cross defendant, Your Honor.
All right, and does Ms. McLeod, does your client want contact?
He wants contact, Your Honor. He would like no further violent contact. They both moved here from New York. They live in Union City in an apartment, and he would like for them to continue having contact.
If Ms.
Mr.
Hines
Coleman,
is okay with that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Coleman, is your client open to no violent contact, or is she insisting on no contact?
No, Your Honor, we would actually prefer that there be no further violent contact. Please form if you could just put a on the end of the NF for that, and we would also ask that the airway be stricken as well, as there would be allowed to have contact, and this is Mr. Hines' apartment at the Shannon Circle address, the Chase Drive address in Union City.
Okay, thank you.
As far as everything else is concerned, we would ask to negotiate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID. We would
Thank you.
ask probation would go non-reporting once he's completed the DVIP, and then probation fees be waived for a period of time.
All right, Mr. Minnie, what is the state's position on non-reporting?
We're fine.
It could be non-reporting once completed, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Hines, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
I'm sorry?
All right, you need to sit up a little closer to the laptop, not so far back. All right,
Okay, say that one more time?
all right. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
And have you understood what's been going on so far in your case?
Correct.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And has anyone forced you to take this plea today?
No.
Has it been explained to you that if you decide to accept this plea offer, that you will be giving up your right to a trial in front of a judge or a jury? You will lose the opportunity to have an attorney assist you, to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
That's correct.
How do you plead to one count of battery, domestic violence, and one count of affray?
Guilty.
Accept your guilty plea. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 40 days. Credit for time served, 18 days. That means you have one more day to serve at the Fulton County Jail. All right. After that time, you will then be released. You will report to probation next Thursday. The probation office is located at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. You will report to that probation office before 3 p.m. next Thursday. Once you're on probation, you will complete a 24-week domestic violence intervention program at your expense. You will begin that program within 60 days of being released. You will also complete 60 hours of community service, that's 60 hours of community service, and you must begin community service within 60 days of being released. You may do your community service at any nonprofit agency that is not a church and not a school. You may have contact with Mr. Devon Lightfoot as long as it's not physical or verbal, does not involve physical or verbal altercations. That means no violent contact with him. Do you understand?
Yes.
Once you complete your community service and your domestic violence classes, your probation may be non-reporting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, she does have a hold for Yonkers, New York, so that may prevent her from reporting next week.
Is she being extradited, Mr. Coleman?
1 second, let me look at the paperwork and see if I saw there was a hold.
And it's the same for Mr. Lightfoot also.
Yeah, I do see a hold for Yonkers.
All right. So unfortunately, Ms. Hines, you will be detained at the Fulton County Jail subject to extradition to New York. And once you have completed your obligations in New York, you will need to return to Fulton County, Georgia, to complete your probation requirements. Your probation requirements are told until you have completed, until you are released from New York's jurisdiction. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Before Ms. Hines do this, could you all please send me her cell phone number and email
Okay,
address?
I'm gonna call and give it to you. I have it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, 3 South, all right. We are
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna
Yes, go ahead.
add-on number 3. This is actually Mr. Lightfoot, add-on 3.
Thank you. And Ms. McLeod, how are we proceeding with Mr. Lightfoot's case?
It's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is State versus Devon Lightfoot, 23 CR 5350F, accused of battery, family violence, and afraid from September 4th, 2023. Mr. Lightfoot, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Maureen McLeod. May I place you on oath for purposes of the plea? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I swear, yes.
Thank you.
Wait, slow down.
Mr. Walker, are those the same terms as we had for Ms. Hines?
They are, Your Honor.
No, there was no community service for him.
There's
And
nothing. Service.
16 and it was 16 days, so his is a straight.
It's now 18 days, because that was from Tuesday, so it'll be 12 months to serve. 36 days, credit for time served, 18 days, balance probated, FDIP, with no further violent contact with Ms. Supreme Hines.
And does he have a hold as well, subject to extradition?
That's
He
my
does,
understanding.
Your Honor, but my understanding is he tells me that his mom had checked with New York and they said they would not be coming to get him and they would contact Fulton County Jail to say so once he is released. He's ready to be released from here.
Sounds good. All right, Mr. Lightfoot, and Ms. McLeod, does your client accept the terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Your Honor, and I would also like if his probation could be terminated once he completes the FVIP course.
It could be non-reporting if the state consents.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Lightfoot, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, I do.
All right, I lost you right there. Could you speak up?
Yes, I do.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's services?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take this plea offer today?
No, you haven't.
If you decide to plead guilty to the charges brought against you, you would be losing your opportunity to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You would have to waive your constitutional right to a trial. to be able to confront your accuser, to be able to challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, as well as to have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of battery, family violence, and one count of affray?
I plead guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 36 days, credit for time served 18 days. That completes your jail time at the Fulton County Jail.
Oh,
Subject,
I think that,
subject to your extradition and the hold from New York being lifted, you will then be released from the Fulton County Jail. You will then report to the Fulton County Probation, which is located at 132 Mitchell Street within 7 days. I believe they're open on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays.
All right. So I'll be next week, Tuesday.
No, we have to see if your New York hold has been lifted. Ms.
Okay.
Thomas, I knew you were going to chime in to correct me.
Yes, good morning, Judge. It's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Those are the first visit.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. So, Mr. Lightfoot, we first have to make sure that the New York hold is lifted. So whatever your parent plans to do in New York, once New York confirms that there is no holds, they will need to confirm that with the Fulton County Jail. Then you will be released within 24 hours. You must then report to the Fulton County Probation within after your release. Then the next business day, which would be either on a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. The probation office is located at 132 Mitchell Street, and you must report before 3 p.m. While you're on probation, you will complete the domestic violence intervention program. That's a 24-week program that must be completed within the 12 months that you're on probation, but you must begin the program within 60 days of being released. You must also, and while you're on probation, you are to have no violent contact with Supreme Hines. Upon completion of the domestic violence classes, then your probation will be non-reporting, which means then you're free to travel to wherever you want to go, as long as you don't commit any other crimes. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes, Ms. Grace?
Yes. Is there a stay away for either party?
No,
No, thank you.
there's no violent contact with both of them.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am, I have it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, courtroom two.
I am
Position-
asking the court's permission to,
You have one more, don't you, Ms. McLeod?
I'm sorry.
You have one more, position 19?
That was Mr. Lightfoot, from my understanding, Your Honor.
Position 19 is major. I don't know if that's your client, but position 19 is.
No, I was looking at the old calendar from Tuesday when I said 19. That was Mr. Lightfoot's
Understood.
Okay,
position.
do you have any other cases then?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor. I did see one where they said conflict was needed, but I haven't been officially asked, and I do have to answer a calendar before Judge Taylor on Zoom. So I
Okay.
want the court's permission to.
Understood. Thank you very much, Ms. McLeod. Thank you.
Welcome. Ma'am. Have a good day.
Position number 26, Tucker.
Okay. 26. All right, is Mr. McLean available?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. McLean, you will have your client, Mary Tucker. Is that at the ACDC location?
No, 3 South.
3 South, okay. Mary Tucker, did you hear when I was advising everyone about their right to remain silent and their right to counsel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mary Tucker is charged with 368 misdemeanor offenses stemming from a traffic incident in case number 23 CR 5380J, including fleeing or attempting to elude an officer, driving without a valid license, failure to use motorcycle headgear, failure to obey, 3 counts of failure to obey a traffic control device, reckless driving, and driving on the wrong side of the road. I understand that Mr. McLean, your client will be entering a not guilty plea. Do you plan to waive arraignment?
We do, Your Honor. I have informed her that each count potentially has 12 months, $1,000 fine maximum punishment, and she is pleading not guilty.
All right. And would you like me to arraign, or will you be filing a written waiver of arraignment?
You know, it would be no trouble. We could, after court today, we could send a written waiver in.
All right, that will be acceptable.
Thank you.
Ms. Tucker, your attorney is going to be entering a not guilty plea on your behalf, and your case is going to be further notice for trial. Thank you.
All right. Wait a minute.
Morning, this is NCDC. The ladies over here needs to hear their rights, and sitting before you is position 25.
Thank you. This is for the ladies at the ACDC Jail Court. My name is Judge Lal. This is going to be an all-purpose calendar, and we're going to get a status of your case to determine whether you want to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty to the charges. So, or if you're seeking any other relief, and your attorney will let me know what you're seeking. In the meantime, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say about your case during this virtual proceeding that is recorded and live streamed, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. This is position 25, Mr. Coleman. I believe your client is entering a not guilty plea. Same process. Will you be entering a waiver of arraignment?
Your Honor, I represent Ms. Teresa.
Cynthia Teresa, yes. She's accused of DUI, reckless driving, hit and run, failure to maintain lane, and driving without a valid license.
Likewise, given that I have advised her of the maximum punishments and discussed the allegation, we could also submit a written waiver after the fact.
That's acceptable. Ms. Teresa, your attorney will be submitting your not guilty plea in writing and waiving arraignment. So your case is going to be further notice for trial. Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 4, Mr. Jermaine Brooks.
All right, thank you. ACDC, if you, oh, okay, I don't think of, Deputy Milton, are you near the computer?
Yes, I am right here, Your Honor.
Okay, I was just going to say, if you could please mute it while I go to courtroom 2. Thank you. All right, Jermaine Brooks is position number 4, case number 23 CR 3983Y. Mr. Brooks is accused of simple battery from November 12, 2022. Mr. Brooks, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
This is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Nemeni, what's the plea offer for Mr. Brooks?
Yes, Your Honor, 12 months probation, credit for time served, 10 days, served 20 days, credit for time served, 10 days, 20 hours of community service, stay away from 262 Arthur's Langford Place Southwest, apartment 6, and no further contact with Natonia Jackson, and a 6-week anger management course.
All right, and that was to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days, so it means complete service then.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Coleman, are those the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
It is, Your Honor. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would ask that the probation go non-reporting once Mr. Brooks has completed the anger management classes. We'd also ask that probation fees be waived for a period of time. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID.
He's got 6 weeks of anger management classes to complete. Why would I need to waive probation fees?
One second, are you working now? No. He's not working, so he doesn't have any resources.
I will waive his probation fees for 60 days upon release. But after that, he will need to resume with probation and pay probation fees. And any objection to non-reporting if he completes the anger management classes?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you so stipulate, right, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, we will stipulate.
Mr. Brooks, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yeah, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yeah, ma'am.
And has it been explained to you that if you enter a guilty plea, you'll be giving up your right to a trial, to go back to court and confront your accuser, challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yeah, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
Yeah, ma'am. Guilty.
Repeat.
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days. If you have no other holds at the Fulton County Jail, you'll be released within 24 hours. You will report to probation next week on Thursday before 3 p.m. The probation office is at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. While on probation, you will have no further contact with Natonia Jackson, which means you have to stay 200 yards away from Ms. Jackson and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. You
Your
also,
Honor?
yes,
I'm sorry for interjecting. Ms. Natonia Jackson is on the Zoom and she wants contact and she wishes to be heard, Your Honor.
oh, okay. Ms. Jackson, if you want to unmute. And you need to raise your right hand. Other right hand.
Oh.
Solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
What would you like to tell me?
Oh, I want to be in contact.
You can put your hand up.
Mm.
All right. This man has been accused of a violent offense against you. Can you explain why contact would be required?
Because it got better. It got better within the past months.
It got better with what?
Within the past months.
And what's the state's position on that?
The state is going to push for the no further contact considering the allegations. Yeah, the state's going to hold on the no contact.
Can you explain to me what those allegations are? Since Natonia has completely left the Zoom. Ms. Jackson, you will need to remain on the Zoom and start your video. Ms. Jackson? All right. I'm going to.
I'm here.
All right. Yes, Ms. Nemene, please tell me what's the state's position?
The state is going to push for the no further contact considering the defendant, Ms. Jackson was spending the night at the defendant's home. He woke her up because he was angry while going through her phone and he started slapping her. And after he slapped her, she called the police and he left. And then the aunt lived with them and she said she heard them arguing and she woke up because of the arguing and she saw the accused defendant slap her. I know they share a child together, but waking up out of your sleep and getting slapped around is problematic. And it has been 8 months, but defendant has, let me double check. No, he doesn't really have guilt. He doesn't have violent. Yeah, so the state is going to stay for the no further contact, but we're going to defer to you, Your Honor.
Mr. Coleman, do you have a response as to why I should maintain the why I should change it to no violent, or
Well, just
why
very,
I should consider no violent contact, and considering the fact that he's only 20 years old, I think, or 21, and he's been charged and pleading guilty to a violent offense.
just very briefly, Your Honor, we have the alleged victim on the Zoom call. She expressed that she does not have any fear of my client and she does want to have contact. Based on those representations, as well as his limited criminal history, we would ask that there be no further violent contact.
All right. I'm going to reject the plea if if there's going to be contact, because this is a domestic violence charge. And the only relief that the state is seeking is anger management as to opposed to a more substantive program like domestic violence. Would your client be open to a domestic violence program?
One moment, Your Honor.
You need to mute your screen, Mr. Coleman.
Okay, just to clarify, you're saying that you will reject the plea if it is no further.
I would amend it to no further violent contact as long as he's in the domestic violence program.
Okay, one moment. Okay, so basically what the judge is saying.
Oh, hang on, okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Coleman. Who do we have at 5 South?
This is Mr. Woods, position number 8.
Okay, we'll take you next. Thank you. Please mute. Thank you. And ACDC, who are we taking up next? Okay, I understand. Daphne Milton's not at the desk. Okay, understood. Thank you. Oh, someone is computer savvy.
After speaking with Mr. Brooks, he is amenable to doing the 6 months of domestic violence classes in exchange for no further violent contact with Ms. Jackson.
All right. That would, so I'm going to proceed then accordingly, as I was, last part I was doing with Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, as I've explained to you, that if you decide to accept the amended plea offer, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to go back to court, to confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence brought against you, to have the assistance of counsel, to also present any defenses, and also have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
And do you understand that you'll be placed on probation where you will have to do 24 weeks of domestic violence classes at your expense?
Yes.
And you must begin those classes within 60 days of being released.
Yes.
All right. How do you plead to 1 count of simple battery?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time, no, excuse me. Yeah, that's correct. 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served 10 days. The amended sentence is going to be no further violent contact with Natonia Jackson, which means that you can return to wherever you live with Ms. Jackson, but you cannot have any physical or verbal altercations with her. You are to report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street. And while on probation, you will start your domestic violence classes within 60 days of being released at your expense. You must complete those classes. They're all 24-week weekly classes. You will also, and I believe that was it, no further violent contact and the domestic violence intervention classes. You will continue to report to probation every month. This will be I will not make it non-reporting. All right. So make sure you get a job during the course of taking those classes. I will waive your probation fees for the first 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, while we're between cases.
Next, we have Yolanda.
Wait. Hang on. Deputy Milton, I'm going to 5 South. Who do you have on the chair?
This is Evans.
Position number
7 after 5 down.
ACDC. Who is in the chair, please?
Position 7, Deanna Evans.
Okay, I will be with her too. We're going to take 5 South first.
Thank you.
Mr. McLean, what was the question? ACDC, please mute. Thank you.
In between cases, I wondered if I could interject a request to Mr. Walker to call the extension 612-2392. Have a urgent matter for him.
All right, Mr. Walker, if he's available.
I'm here, but I don't have a phone, so you had to put it in the chat, Mr. McLean.
Okay. I'll do
Thank
that.
you.
All right. 5 South, could you repeat the gentleman's name again, please?
Position 8, Mr. Woods.
Thank you. I have Warner Freeman as position number 8.
On the add-on calendar, Your Honor.
Oh, add-on calendar, excuse me. All right. This is George Woods, accused of simple battery domestic violence from March 15, 2023, case number 20 CR 5372A. This is Mr. Michael McLean's case, and Mr. Woods, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say about your case, your statements can and will be used against you. Mr. McLean, this is your case, yes?
Number
Mr. Woods.
Position 8 on the add-on calendar.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Woods is not guilty, and we're going to waive formal reading of the accusation.
All right, so I'll go ahead and arraign him then. Mr. Woods, I understand that you're entering a not guilty plea. On your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution has the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt and overcome your legal presumption of innocence. If the state prevails, you could be convicted and face a penalty of up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
Accept your plea of not guilty. The case has been arraigned and is going to be further notice for jail jury. Thank you. ACDC, we have Miss Evans. This is State versus Deanna Evans, case number 23 CR 5597Y, in which she was accused of theft by receiving stolen property from August 14th, 2023. This is going to be a non-negotiated plea. Miss Evans, you're represented by Daryl Coleman, and which means that a non-negotiated plea means that the prosecution is going to give me one recommendation in exchange for a guilty plea, and your attorney is going to give me an alternative recommendation. I will let you know which recommendation I will accept, keeping in mind that I have the right to reject either recommendation and schedule the case for trial. Ms. Nemini, what's the state's recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is asking for 12 months to serve 180 days, credit for time served 39 days, balance probated and anti-theft course, and 80 hours of community service.
All right. 180 days less 39 days. Somebody please do the math and let me know how many days she would have to the jail.
51 more days, Your Honor.
51 more days. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. And Mr. Coleman, I gather that's not agreeable to the client. What is your recommendation?
That's correct, Your Honor. We have no objection to the anti-theft court or the 80 hours of community service. We would just have an objection to the additional 51 days that they're requesting this Evans serve in custody.
So you're asking to serve 68 days?
Where
78 days, sorry, 78 days. Am I correct?
The time that she's already served. Just very briefly, speaking with Ms. Evans, she's 60 years of age. She's presently not working. She's been disabled for the last 5 years, living off of Social Security disability. Before that, she was employed as a cafeteria manager. She does have an address here in Atlanta, Fulton County. Again, this is a nonviolent offense. We feel that the 39 days that she served in custody is sufficient. We would ask that the court not sentence her to any additional jail time.
All right, Mr. Manny, what would the additional jail time serve? Purpose.
The state is going to ask for the recommended 180 days, considering defendant has many cycles, cycle from 2021, possession of drug, 22, obstruction, criminal trespass, simple assault, obstruction, battery. She has an open case with theft by taking. So basically what happened, let me scroll up, August 14th of this year near 987 Ashby Circle Court, officers were notified about a stolen vehicle from 385 Holly Road. Officers observed defendant in that vehicle. It was a black Infiniti i35 with a missing bumper. When she was approached by the officers, officers asked her why she was near the car, or did she know whose car that was? She said it was somebody else's car. However, when they tried to start the car, she had items in the car. She hid the keys in her underwear. And then she had mail, she had a lot of things in there, and then she lied to the officers, considering that she allegedly that she stole a black Infiniti and tried to obscure that she actually had possession of the car and hid the vehicle's keys in her underwear. The state is asking for that. And I think she also had a theft by taking that the state also declined to prosecute, but an Infiniti i35 is more than $1,500. And we feel that is more than reasonable for stealing a car. Yes, an open felony theft.
Okay, so she had her first appearance at the felony calendar, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And she was given a bond of $10,000. And since the state has dismissed the felony charge, she's being addressed in state court on the misdemeanor charge. All right, understood.
Your
All
Honor,
right,
I just want to make clear that she has an open felony theft. So this was downgraded from the DA's office, but she still has a separate open felony theft case currently.
Yeah, I understand, from an April 22nd, 2023 incident.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. I am going to accept the defense recommendation of 12 months to serve 78 days, credit for time served 39 days. She will need to, once she's released, I'm not sure if the other matter is holding her, but once she's released, she'll need to report to probation and do an anti-theft class and do 80 hours of community service at any nonprofit agency, which is not a school and not a religious organization. She will report to probation every month for the remainder time that is set for probation, and that would be for about 9.5 months, if I'm not mistaken. There will be no waiver of fees. She will pay fees, and failure to pay her probation fees or failure to report will result in an immediate revocation and to serve out the rest of probation in jail or in prison. Mr. Coleman, would your client be open to this?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Based on those representations on the court, we will proceed with the plea.
All right. And is the felony matter, the $5,000 bond, holding her at the present time?
One moment.
I noticed that there is a bond set by a bonding company.
I see it on the paperwork I have. I see it as 10,000.
That is the bond for this charge.
They have it as a CP number, so maybe they didn't change the number to a state court number. So I don't have any paperwork reflecting what the present bond is on the felony.
I've got 5,000. Okay. Ms. Evans, if you'd like to proceed with this plea, first of all, your attorney has to stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID.
We will so stipulate.
Ms. Evans, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Do you understand that I'm accepting your attorney's recommendation for the sentence, but that will require you to report to probation every month and require you to pay probation fees every month in a timely manner? Otherwise, you'll be serving out the rest of the probation time in prison.
Okay. Yes, I understand.
All right. Are you freely, willingly, and knowingly understanding that this is the modified sentence that you would have to comply with?
Yes, I am.
All right. And
Your Honor?
probation, yes.
I'm sorry for interjecting. The state did want to add a no further contact and a stay away. The victim is currently online, but considering what happened with his car being stolen, he definitely does want to stay away from his home and him.
What's the name of the alleged victim?
Mr. Eric Johnson.
All right, thank you. Well, I'll definitely have her have no further contact with Eric Johnson, and which means that she has to stay away from his home, his person, anywhere that he happens to be located at or his property. Of course, Mr. Johnson can always pursue Miss Evans for any civil damages separately. Okay, Miss Evans, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No.
And have you understood everything that we've discussed so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No.
And you understand that if we decide to close your case out with this plea, that you will not have an opportunity for a trial. There will be no chance to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state carry its burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of theft by receiving stolen property?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 78 days, credit for time served 39 days. Your jail time for this case is concluded, but you must report to probation. If there are no other holds at the Fulton County Jail, you must report to probation next Thursday or the first available business day, which will be Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. And you must report before 3 p.m. While on probation, you must complete an anti-theft class, and that must be started within 60 days of being released. You will also start working on 80 hours of community service at any nonprofit agency, which is not a school and not a church. You will report to probation every month. You will pay probation fees every month. Failure to pay probation fees in a timely manner and failure to report will result in an immediate revocation and for you to serve out the rest of this probation in a prison or at the Fulton County Jail. Ms. Thomas, please make a note that there will be a petition for an immediate revocation if Ms. Thomas does not report, if she does not pay her probation fees, or if she gets arrested again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honor.
Your Honor, quick question. Do we have a Spanish interpreter for position number 9?
I believe I saw someone appear, but I may be wrong. Do we have a Spanish interpreter on Zoom? Not yet, officer.
Okay, so we're gonna go with position number 8, Mr. Warner Freeman.
Okay. And who do I have at 5 South?
This is position number 19, Willie Major.
Okay, thank you. I'll be courtroom 2, then 5 South, and back to ACDC. Mr. Warner Freeman is position 8 on the main SAP calendar, 22 CR 1574B, accused of criminal trespass and obstruction of an officer from a May 4th, 2021 incident. Mr. Freeman, you have a right to remain silent as advised, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. This is going to be a negotiated plea. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Namini, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor. 12 months to serve 22 days, credit for time served 11 days, violence suspended, and a stay away from the Texaco gas station located at 29 Moreland Avenue, Southeast Atlanta.
Mr. Coleman, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would so stipulate.
Mr. Freeman, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No.
And have you understood the proceedings?
Oh, yes.
Are you satisfied with Mr. Coleman's services?
Yes, I am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea?
No, Your Honor.
And I'm sure you've gone over with Mr. Coleman. In order to go forward with the plea, you would have to give up your right to a trial, to confront your accuser, to have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, I am.
How do you plead to one count of trespass and one count of obstruction of an officer?
Good.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 22 days, credit for time served 11 days, balance suspended. You have to stay away from the Texaco gas station at 29 Moreland Avenue in Southeast Atlanta. If you are seen at the Texaco gas station, if you're seen at its on its sidewalks, if you're seen in its parking lots, and if you are seen across the street, because you're supposed to stay 200 yards away. So if you're seen across the street, which is within 200 yards, the owner of the property has a right to call the police and have you arrested again.
Okay.
All right, make sure you stay away. Thank
No
you.
problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Position 19, Major.
Okay, that was, sorry, courtroom 2, I'm going to 5 South. 5 South, repeat the position number again, please.
Major, number 19.
Major, okay, thank you. And that was, okay, I know that's a bit of a complication of that one. Okay. Okay, this is State versus Willie Marion Major, 23 CR 5549A. Mr. Major, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is going to be Mr. Michael McLean. You were accused of driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, driving under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of marijuana. This is from a February 13th, 2022 incident. Mr. McLean, I understand that this is your client and he's entering a not guilty plea. Are you planning to file a waiver, or do you want me to arrange the case? Just one second. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of noise. 5 South, please mute. Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we can certainly submit a written waiver after court if it would be more convenient.
And yes, I'll accept a written waiver. Is there anything else to address in this case?
Nothing today, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Major, your attorney will be filing a waiver of arraignment and entering your not guilty plea. The case is going to be further notice for trial. Thank you. ACDC, who do we have?
Position 5, Ms. Cox.
This is Ms. Sheila Cox at the ACDC location. Ms. Cox has been advised of her right to remain silent and right to counsel. Her attorney is going to be Mr. Coleman. Her case number is 23 CR 1777F. Charged with loitering and prowling and criminal trespass from March 17th, 2023. Ms. Cox, I understand this is going to be a plea. Would you please raise your right hand? And please unmute, Deputy Milton. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Thank you. You put your hand up. Ms. Nimini, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is asking for time served, balance suspended, stay away from 585 McWilliams Road Southeast, Unit 2107. I'm going to double check her day served because she has an open felony case, which is going to keep her in there. Give me 1 second. I think it's like 50 something.
All right, I've got 99 days.
Okay, so it's, yeah, I think that's what it is.
She was booked in 99, it's 101 days. She was booked in on March 17, 2023 and released on March 18th, 2023. And then she was booked in again on June 15th, 2023 on an FTA. And she's been in there for 99 days since then. So it's a total of 101 days.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, is that your understanding of the plea offer?
It is, Your Honor. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID. The booking screen I have does not reflect any felony code. So do we know
It
what
doesn't.
it is?
I don't see one. Is there a different spelling for that case, for her name?
Not that I'm aware of. As far as I know, this is the only case that's holding her in custody.
Is the case in Fulton County or another jurisdiction?
It's in Fulton. I was under the 21 SC 180168.
180168.
Oh, wait, I see it now. I just don't know what the charge is.
It's armed robbery.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like-
it's a multi-defendant case.
All right.
All right. So, Mr. Coleman, shall I proceed? And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the loitering and prowling and criminal trespass charges?
Yes, we will so stipulate.
All right. Ms. Cox, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
You are aware that you cannot be released because of a pending felony case against you.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney services so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer?
No, ma'am.
And has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty to the misdemeanor charges, that it doesn't close out your felony case?
Yes, ma'am.
And also it means that you won't be able to challenge the misdemeanor charges in a court of law, to be able to confront your accuser, have a trial where you can challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of loitering and prowling and one count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 101 days, credit for time served 101 days, balance suspended. You're to stay away from 585 McWilliams Road in Southeast, the entire apartment complex, including unit 2107. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 11, Mr. Rashidi Jones. Rashadi Jones.
This is Mr. McLean's case. This is State versus Rashadi Jones, 23 CR 5410F. Mr. Jones was accused of simple battery, family violence, and willful obstruction of an officer from a June 15th, 2023 incident. Mr. Jones, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Minnie, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor, 12 months probation, credit for time served, 13 days. So I guess 26 days. 12 months probation, 26 days, credit for time served, 13 days, an FVIP course, 40 hours of community service, and no further contact with Amira, KUYKENDOLL, and a $300 fine.
Mr. McLean, are those the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do so stipulate, and those are the terms. Your Honor, I've discussed one item with my client, and he asked, because of his financial circumstances, he will be searching for a job. He is very employable, but he will be searching for a job when he is released. So he wonders if A, he could have a break on the probation fees for a couple of months, and B, could he convert the $300 fine, which normally is associated with the obstruction charge, I understand. Could he convert the $300 fine to an additional 30 hours of community service for a total of 70?
To what? A total of 70 hours of community service?
Correct, because he's already, the term's already offering 40 hours community service, and if Your Honor allows him to convert the 300, that would be an additional 30 for a total.
Okay. I'm going to require him to report to probation every month, and he'll start paying probation fees from, let me see, September, October. He needs to start paying fees from December 1st, 2023 onwards.
Very good.
Mr. Jones, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer today?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that in accepting this plea offer, you'll be giving up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, and have the state trying to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery, family violence, and one count of willful obstruction of an officer?
Yes.
Your sentence for both charges are as follows: 12 months to serve 26 days, credit for time served 13 days. The balance will be on probation. You will report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
The location is at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. Your probation fees will be waived up to and including the end of November 2023. You will start paying probation fees from December 1st, 2023 onwards. You will report to probation every month until your probation is concluded. While on probation, you will begin a domestic violence intervention program. Those classes must be started within 60 days of being released. You will also complete 40 hours of community service for the simple battery charge and 30 hours of community service for the willful obstruction charge, for a total of 70 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, which is not a school and not a religious organization. You will have no contact with Amira Kakendel, and as I said, your probation will not terminate. It will only terminate once you've completed the 12 months. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have from ACDC, Your Honor, positions 21 through 24, Ms. Nadia Reese.
This is going to be a not guilty. Mr. McLean, do you plan to file a waiver of arraignment for Nadia Reese?
We'd be glad to do so, Your Honor. I've looked at it, situations, bond is moved, so that's all. Our only request is to plead not guilty.
All right. Ms. Nadia Reese, you have 1, 2, 3 cases pending against you, including one failure to appear case. 21 CR 3919F, unlawful conduct during a 911 call. 23 CR 5414F, criminal trespass, 2 counts of, 1 count of criminal trespass, 1 count of criminal trespass causing damage to property. 23 CR 5561F, charges stemming from a traffic incident on December 11, 2021. DUI under the influence of alcohol, less safe, endangering a child while DUI, 2 counts. 1 count of reckless driving, 1 count of reckless conduct, and possession of an open alcohol container. And your 4th case is a failure to appear from a July 5th, 2023 incident. With respect to all these 4 cases, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean. He will be filing a waiver of arraignment and entering your not guilty plea to all 4 cases. Your cases will be further noticed for jail jury trial. Thank you.
Add-on position number 1, Mr. William Harris.
All right. I'm going to take courtroom 2 first. Courtroom 2, who do you have next?
Going to be probation, Your Honor. We got Mr. Dulac. He's position number 3.
Do you have all the probation cases? I have quite a few.
I have 3 probations in here, Your Honor.
All right. And my probation officer is. Who's my probation officer?
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Ms. Harris.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, in courtroom 2, if you can just hold a moment, I'm going to take all three probation cases back to back. I'm just going to go to 5 North and see what's there. 5 North, who do we have again?
Harris, add-on 1.
This is Mr. Coleman's case. William Harris, case 22 CR 3883E, is charged with battery, family violence from June 7, 2022. Mr. Harris, you have a right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Coleman. Ms. Nemini, any updates on the felony transfer on this case?
No, but the state does have an offer, 12 months to serve. Let me double check how long he's been there.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, he's been there for 50 days. So
All
the
right.
state, yeah.
All right, and your offer is 12 months to serve. Mr. Coleman, does your client want to consider that offer, or shall I arraign the case today?
We were just yesterday because there was no offer, and it was stating that it was a pending transfer to felony court. So we would just ask that he be arraigned today, and we would just reset this to jail jury.
All right. Do you waive a reading of the accusation?
We'll waive reading, yes.
All right. Mr. Harris, your attorney has indicated that you plan to enter a not guilty plea. I just need to let you know that you are charged with a misdemeanor battery, family violence from June 7, 2022 in Fulton County, Georgia. Upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be reset for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution has the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the state prevails, you could be convicted and face a penalty of up to 12 months in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead? How do you plead, sir?
Guilty, I guess. No guilty, not guilty.
I'll accept your not guilty plea, and the case is further notice for a jail jury. I gather that okay, thank you. Moving back to courtroom 2.
Your Honor, when you finish with courtroom 2, can you come back to ACDC? I have one female on the probation calendar.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Probation, who do we have presently in courtroom 2?
Probation calendar, position number 3 and 4, Mr. Dulac.
Thank you. Officer Harris, if I may place you under oath, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Your Honor.
Thank you. Will the host of Zoom please pause the video on 3 South? It looks like there may be some medical discussions going on. I'd rather not that be displayed. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Benjamin Dulac has got 2 probation matters. 22 CR 7961E, in which he was convicted of theft by shoplifting. And then I have the probation case, which is 23 PV 1192 from August 25th, 2023. All right, Officer Harris, what are you seeking at the present time with regards to Mr. Dulac, who has been advised of his right to remain silent and right to counsel?
Your Honor, probation recommendation is to give credit for time served for Mr. Dulac. He only has 61 days left on his case. We just want to term him out and to close his case, Your Honor.
So commute the time and close the case?
Your Honor.
Okay. Any objection, Mr. Coleman?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. This will be marked as a probation violation. He's been credited for the time that he's already served. The remainder of the time is going to be commuted and the cases are closed. He does not have any further probation obligations for the theft by shoplifting matter. and that will close out both the theft by shoplifting case as well as the 23 PB 1192 case. All right, which is the next probation case in courtroom 2?
Next, Your Honor, is going to be Mr. Adonis Murray. And he is position 7 and position 8.
Thank you. Mr. Adonis Murray has got the probation matters. His main case is 22 CR 5649F, in which he was convicted of simple battery, and the probation violation case is 23 PB 1195. Mr. Murray, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. Ms. Harris, what is the probation seeking?
Yes, Your Honor. Probation recommendation is also wanted to commute his time to give him credit for time served and to close his case.
Any objection, Mr. Coleman?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Murray, this will be marked as a probation violation. The time that you have served is going to be commuted to the remainder of the time you've left on probation, and that is going to close your obligations to probation on this particular matter. That will close out both the main case ending in 5649F as well as the PB case ending in 1195. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next probation case.
Next is going to be position number 9 and position number 10, Mr. Christopher Thomas.
Okay.
Mr. Christopher Thomas, main case is 22 CR 5761G, convicted of battery and willful obstruction of an officer. And the probation violation case is 23 PB 1193. Mr. Thomas, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman, Mr. McLean?
Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Coleman, okay. And Ms. Harris, what's this probation seeking?
Yes, Your Honor. Probation its recommendation is also to give him time served, give him credit, and to close his case.
Any objection, Mr. Coleman?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Thomas, with regards to your cases, you're going to be given credit for the time that you've served. The remainder of the time is commuted, and this will close out both cases. Your probation obligations are terminated. And this will close out both the position 9 and position 10 on the probation calendar. Thank you.
All right, y'all have a great day.
You too.
I had, all right, so at ACDC,
Position 5 and 6, Your Honor. Ms.
Okay.
Jordan.
all right. Do I have Dwayne Douglas II for probation as well?
He's number 1 on the probation calendar. Is he in here?
He's on the upstairs.
Oh, he's on one of the floors.
Okay, thank you. This is State versus Trennan Jordan, who is at ACDC. Her main probation case is 23-35-000-359J, convicted of battery and criminal trespass. And the probation violation case is 23 PB 1196. Ms. Jordan, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Coleman. Officer Harris, what are we seeking for Ms. Jordan?
Yes, Your Honor. Probation recommendation for Ms. Jordan is to continue on her probation. She has to complete 8 weeks of anger management. Probation recommendation is to have her enroll into those classes within the first 2 weeks once she's has been released from custody. And she has 140 days remaining on her case, Your Honor.
Mr. Coleman?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, this will be marked as a probation violation. The case will be continued on probation. She will be released immediately within 14 days. And I'm sorry, Officer Harris, when's the first report date upon being released?
At least 48 hours upon her release, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Jordan, you will report to probation next Monday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street. Make sure you report, because if you don't, you're right back where you are right now. After your first report date, the probation will give you your next report date, and you will need to continue to report every month in person. Within 14 days, it means within 2 weeks from today, you must show proof that you are enrolled in an anger management program. And that's an 8-week anger management program, and you must attend all 8 classes every week. If you fail to report within 14 days from today, that will constitute a violation, and probation is authorized to revoke the remainder of the 140 days and have you serve out the rest of the time in prison. Do you understand? Please unmute. Do you
Yes, ma'am.
understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right. You'll be in probation for another 140 days, during which time you have to complete your 8 weeks of anger management. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 27 on the SAP calendar, Mr. Wilborn, Richard
Okay.
Wilborn.
I have a couple more cases on the add-on as well, so just FYI. But Mr. Wilborn. This is State versus Richard Wilburn, case 23 CR 5382F. Mr. Wilburn has got 2 misdemeanor charges against him, including criminal trespass in case 23 CR 5382F. Mr. Wilburn, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Michael McLean. Mr. McLean, have you shown him both the charges brought against him?
I have, Your Honor. We were able to discuss that yesterday in the visitation booth. Our plea is not guilty. We could do that either by waiving the formal reading of the accusation or by simply submitting a waiver as soon as I get back to the office.
I'll accept your waiver of arraignment. He is deemed to be not guilty, and the case is going to be further notice for jail jury.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next case, courtroom 2.
Your Honor, all we have is a Spanish interpreter. Have a seat. Have a seat. Only have an interpreter case.
All right. The interpreter case is position number 9.
That is correct.
And Miss Grace, the host, could you please advise me on the status of the interpreter case? Of the interpreter?
I'll check now, Judge.
All right. And while we are checking, I'm just.
Excuse me, could Darrell Coleman come to the phone, please, in courtroom 2?
Yeah.
Your Honor, I understand Mr. Walker has replied to my chat with regard to Larry Mickle, who I believe was add-on number something because he was reset
4.
days ago.
Add-on 4.
And I think the state has an announcement that's going to be suitable to the defense.
Mr. Walker?
Well, I didn't say I had an announcement. I just stated I wouldn't have an objection to your request. So.
Okay. No, it was a double request. I wasn't sure which one was being granted, but either one would be good.
Is that Mr. Mickle seated next to you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Well,
so
you know I wasn't agreeing to the dismissal, so it would be the other request.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So I have Larry Mickle, add-on position 4 and 5, 22 CR 8575H. Mr. McLean, what is your request?
We were asking the state to consider a couple of things, and they've acceded to the idea of a no objection to a signature bond. He's got a funny situation where it's not his fault that he's been refusing interviews. It just turns out that he can't hear the request to come to the booth because somebody took his hearing aid and he does not have American Sign Language. So what we'd like to do is a signature bond, and we'll get the paperwork to the court after court's over.
All right, and if there is a consent to a signature bond, then you need to draft the proposed order. As long as Mr. Walker's had a chance to eyeball it, and then you can submit it to Miss Grace for signature.
Sure, and I guess I would just.
I'm sorry, no, let me just finish this part. His case is already scheduled for jury trial before Judge Taylor, and he needs to understand that he needs to appear.
Okay, I'll communicate that to him, even if it's in a letter. And Your Honor, I guess I'll take the amount that's already on the bond and convert it.
Let's amend it to a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial.
Through pretrial, understood?
Yes.
I'm not,
Yeah.
Your Honor, if I could, I don't, if he doesn't have his hearing aids and if he's deaf, I'm not sure what reporting would look like. So I'm okay with SOB through the jail. The only request I was making was a stay away from the incident location.
All right, signature bond through the jail, stay away from the incident location. But more importantly, do show up in court for trial, which means that I'm going to dismiss the FTA or set aside the bench warrant on position 5. So
Thank you.
it's got to be the signature bond, the conditions, and to set aside, and then you need to do a separate order to set aside the FTA, which is position 5.
Okay, very good. I'll be communicating his requirements to him in writing, obviously. Okay.
All right, thank you. He missed his date with Judge Taylor on August 14th.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker, can you put the address in the chat for me, please?
Yes, I can look it up. Yeah, I mean, I can look it up. Yes.
And Your Honor, I believe there's only 2 more positions on the add-on calendar that you're missing, and that's Stevie Robinson, position 6, and position 7. Is that correct?
Is I think on the add-on is Stevie Robinson, 6 and 7. Yes, one person.
His bond was paid.
Okay.
All right, so he was released.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I guess he was released on the FTA as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then on the probation calendar, I've got Dwayne Douglas. He's going to be on a different floor.
Yes, Your Honor, he's going to be on the 4th floor.
Okay.
Officer Brown.
All right, I'm just going to, I'm waiting on our interpreter for position 9. So I'm just going to go down the calendar with Mr. Coleman, Mr. McLean, Ms. Nimini, and Mr. Walker before I begin my competency cases. All right, position number 1, Maxie Adams was a plea. Position number 2, Frank Banks. Mr. Coleman, what are we doing there? Reset.
I tried to get through a plea with him yesterday. I was not able to do so. I believe there's a mental health issue, so I would just reset for social worker assessment.
All right, this is going to be a 1-week reset to September 28th. And this will depend on whether you seek an evaluation as well. Okay, Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, position number 3, Mr. Black was a plea. 4, Brooks was a plea. 5, Cox was a plea. 6, Edwards. Mr. Coleman, I hope you're not taking this to heart, but he refused to talk to you.
Yeah, and I tried to explain to him, well, I actually never saw him, but I told one of the officers, let him know that if he spoke to me, he could likely be released on a time served plea, but he still refused. So I would just reset this maybe to next Tuesday. Maybe he'll want to speak to someone then.
All right, Miss Grace, how does our calendar for next Tuesday look? Is it? Can I squeeze this in?
Do that Thursday.
All right.
Okay.
It'll have to be September 28th.
That's fine.
And please let him know that he just needs to listen, otherwise he gets to spend more time at the jail. Position 7, Evans was a plea. 8, Freeman was a plea. 9, Gonzalez, we're waiting on an interpreter.
Do we know if there was a Spanish interpreter ordered? This was a case where there was no offer, so I guess I need to know, does the state have an offer or does this need to be reset?
My notes say no offer.
So the state is we're going to offer 12 months to serve.
Okay. All right, we're going to reset it to September 28th.
Yeah, because right now.
For an interpreter. Miss Grace, please disregard the interpreter request. is going to be reset to September 28th. If you're able to communicate with him, I'll consider filing a waiver of arraignment.
Well, if we could just please make sure that there's a Spanish interpreter available on the 28th, so someone can communicate with Mr. Gonzalez.
One was definitely requested. I'm not certain what happened, but we'll make note that one's required for next Thursday. Thank you.
Will do.
Yeah. So position number 10, Heathington was a plea. 11, Jones was a plea. Position 12, 13, 14, and 15, Samira Jones.
That's
That
not
was-
guilty.
Yes, Ms. McLean?
That's not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, could you submit a waiver of arraignment since I'm not seeing this person?
We shall do so.
All right, so Ms. Grace, you will expect a waiver of arraignment for position 12, 13, 14, and 15, and those are all going to be further notice jail jury. Position 16 and 17, Karolak is a not guilty. Mr. McLean?
We can waive that. She indicated to me that that was definitely not guilty. She anticipated having a private practice lawyer who represents her on another minor matter currently, but we'll inform him of this. I'm sure they'll get together on that, but that's a not guilty, Your Honor.
Are you representing her today, or what are we talking about?
Well,
Is
since she has not yet hired him and we, as a courtesy, represent people who are in jail on SAP, yes. I'll represent her today and say not guilty.
Okay, so I'll anticipate a waiver of arraignment for these two cases.
Very good.
Thank you. Position 18, John Kilgore. I've got a to be advised.
Right. We have not yet interviewed him. He was at Union City as opposed to ACDC or Rice Street, and we were waiting on communication from someone today to see if he was going to be put in person in our courtroom or whether that was going to be some kind of link.
Has the officers in courtroom 2 been able to give you an update?
No, Your Honor, they're not here right now, but we don't have an update yet.
Okay. Uh, 19 Major was a waiver of arraignment for the notice jail jury. 20 Phillips was a plea. 21, 22, 23, 24. Nadia Reese is a waiver of arraignment for all 4 cases and further notice jail jury. 25 Teresa is a waiver of arraignment, further notice jail jury. 26 is a waiver of arraignment. That's Tucker. Further notice jail jury. And 27 Wilborn is a waiver of arraignment and further notice jail jury.
And let's see, just looking back, did we get number 20 done or we got so many people here? I was just going to ask.
Position 20, Devonta Phillips was, no, we did not.
We need to have him on Zoom wherever he's from and submit that plea, Your Honor.
All right, so on your cases, we are waiting on position 18 and position 20, Phillips.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. 5 North, 3 South, I haven't had any response. So we'll just, hopefully, Mr. McLean, if you want to wait, if an officer comes in, you might inquire as to Mr. Phillips and Mr. Kilgore.
I will.
All right. And meantime, Mr. Walker and Mr. Derek Howard. I see Kia Burgess is present. Anyone else who's going into breakup for the competency calendar? Oh, Ms. Harris, you're free to go. Please submit the probation documents to Miss Melissa Grace, okay?
Okay, are we seeing Mr. Douglas today?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I guess you're not excused then until the jail produces Mr. Douglas. So
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to go do my competency calendar. When I come back, I can let you know about Mr. Douglas and Mr. Kilgore and Mr. Phillips for the SAP calendar. Is Mr. Derek Howard present?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, I'm inquiring about Mr. Derek Howard for the competency calendar, or is this going to be another defense?
I don't see him, but I'll shoot him a message. You know, it doesn't start till 11, so I think we're a little bit early, so.
Oh, lo and
I'll
behold,
shoot
that's
him.
a rare occurrence. Okay.
No, I'm shooting him a message right now, Your Honor.
All right, we'll be in recess until Mr. Douglas for probation, or Mr. Kilgore, or Mr. Phillips from SAP appear, or Mr. Derek Howard for our 11 a.m. Thank you. The host can pause the live stream and the recording while we're in recess.